Hello, Clever Habits Tribe, and we're back for season 8. This is the premiere. I have with me Jordanis Jordan. And this is actually weird. It's the second guest that I've had that has been influenced by hip-hop culture. You remember the last one was Cambodian Sok Fisal. Hip-hop culture is everywhere, and I didn't even know it. The first time you were called beautiful as a Black woman was not in Germany. It was at age 36 in Harlem, New York. So tell us about what happened after that.
Over here, I was always invisible. I mean, men over here told me, oh, never with a Black woman, never. I really morphed into just working. And once I got to Harlem, New York, have a great day, beautiful, thank you. That does something, definitely did something to me. And I have been appreciated. And also they knew a lot about Habeshas, Eritreans, Ethiopians. They were really like, in general, like very sweet and very open, very appreciative about my culture, understanding that we're not a monolith. The first time even experiencing dates, being picked up, going to restaurants, also seeing so much Black love, a gift to see that. And it poured it into me.
Yeah, that's nice. Harlem in the US and New York has a very rich Black heritage. I heard they're going through like a Renaissance revival now, which is exciting. And we have the reverse Great Migration, where people who their grandparents moved to the North for better opportunities, they're moving back to the South for opportunities and lower housing costs, which to me, I'm still like, I don't know if I would do that, but I hear you. The South has a rep. It has a reputation, but I've heard there's been a lot of almost like returnees in Atlanta, a lot in Florida, some also in North Carolina and Raleigh, Durham area. They're being almost repatriated to the land of their grandparents, great-grandparents. But still a lot of the racism that their ancestors faced is not lynching level, but it's still like, oh, this is kind of annoying. Might be kind of dangerous to go out at night alone level.
It takes away so much of our own lives, building our own lives, having like mental health, all these things, like just having a life, like taking care of your family, having a good job, having a good time. There's always like this extra work. And sometimes it feels like it's like a distraction and keeps us from going somewhere. At least me, I'm like, sometimes it's really hard. Like you work so hard, double. And it's the one thing that like, oh, this is why it's not happening because, okay, there were and still are like in Germany, more like biracial women with very light skin. But even they should be somewhere else. Like if we're being honest, like they should be like superstars. When I look at all of these phenomenal singers that are in Germany, they should be rocking like arenas and they still don't get there. Things have not changed. And it's even getting worse. That's why I moved into the back, being in marketing. You get to see more and more who's really rocking and also understand why at least I won't get any further and how you have to be to get further, which is very bizarre. You're just not gonna get to these places because of patriarchy. But that was the reason why I, in the end, left like that, because I felt like the US is more open to business. And if you think about it, we're talking about lifetime. There's so much that you can do for so long until you just get older. So how much time do you want to waste?
I'm sure post-pandemic stuff has changed, but I wanted to ask you about the different types of events. On your LinkedIn profile, it says events, exhibitions, and pop-ups. And I know we hear those words thrown around a lot, but those of us who are not in the industry are like, what's the difference? It sounds like red apples, green apples, and yellow apples, but it's not the same thing.
The pop-up is more like commercial, like in that sense that more B2C. You try to maybe showcase your brand, but it's more like limited to like a few hours or a few days. And an event is way bigger. It has like an award show, like more of a bigger purpose, and people come together. From my perspective, more like B2B and more of a networking character. And exhibitions are really like exhibitions, but not like exhibitions that are currently in museums. Short-term exhibitions, like 90 days, maybe more immersive, where people get to experience the topic more, take pictures, take a look, and just get to experience what we want to share with you. And it's more B2C. There are a lot of work. It's just a real in-person experience that is really important for me these days.
I'm hearing this all over, that in-person events are more important. So why is that?
We are being flooded online. Like you can't really distinguish anymore, especially now with AI. Is this a person I'm talking to or not? You don't really build connection anymore. Therefore, it's even more important to have like in person in that gray area and the conversation that we have in quiet time, like when we're just quiet like this to let it breathe. That's where innovation happens. So that's why it's even more important. It's so much faster to do business in person, long lasting business at least. You're energized, you're filled. Even after concerts, you feel like you can change the world. Like you're like pumped up. And there is an energetic exchange that happens here that can never be replaced.
This is a funny question, but do people in Harlem talk to the screen at the movie theater? Because the last movie I went to, they're like, "Oh no, oh, ah, snap! Well, that was pushing and hit him in the head."
And isn't that beautiful? We're so different and then we're all the same in that. It's just so funny to see like I was screaming. Damn, are you stupid? I just can't. But also theater. Like it's the same. My professor, she's a white professor. She went to see that play with Viola Davis and Denzel Washington on Broadway. And it was full of, black people. She's like, people were loud the moment Denzel entered the stage. People were like screaming Denzel, and he was smirking. I'm like, yeah, because we know. But she loved it. Welcome. So this is how we do. Yeah. It was really fun. I love it.
So the last thing I want to ask you about, Jordan, is I don't know if you would call it a side gig or a side project, this Kifle pods. Tell us what it is and why.
I was just listening to music. It was winter. And I feel like those headphones definitely made by men because they're sometimes so uncomfortable and press on your head. And I wanted to have earmuffs on them. I'm like, oh, it's so cold. Let me just go to Amazon and get some earmuffs for my headphones because obviously they do exist. And to my surprise, they did not exist. I'm like, this can't be. It's impossible because it's so obvious that this is such a good idea. And then I did my research and I invented Kifle pots, put a patent on it. It took me almost a year because everybody was like, what is this? What do you want? I'm like, just keep it simple. Like, just don't overcomplicate it. That was the first time I'm like, oh yeah, I really love this entrepreneurial, innovative approach. But now I'm reviving it again and I have like new models coming up. It's really fun just to do something, to create something from scratch. And to see that people are using it, it's just, oh wow. And I have failed so much. I mean, now we're laughing, but I'm like, sometimes it's like, oh my God, I just can't. Like, why are you not just like, why can't you just be normal? Why do you have to pick like always like these? Oh, you want to try it even more, but it's really worth it. The things that I've learned is also your entire environment might just change, like your personal environment. That was something that I did not expect. A lot of people feel again triggered or challenged, or they don't want you to change because then they would kind of lose access to you. But nevertheless, it's worth it. It's really worth it.
I've been there, not to the point of getting a patent, but I had a week this week that I'm like, why don't you just get a regular job? I'm like, no.
No, don't do it.
But yeah, I think just to your point of it being so difficult, there's an illustration that they have in many different cultures where people can become like crabs in a bucket. They keep pulling each other down because they want you to stay in the bucket. But on the other side, sometimes there's someone who has done the thing and they pull the ladder up behind them. You ask them, how did you do that? They won't tell you anything because they want to be the one, the Smurfette, the golden one who did it and not tell anyone else how to do it. They have a scarcity mindset.
It's such a loss of knowledge, opportunity to build something. Again, we're just a part of the process, right? In 100 years, nobody will remember us. So why do you complicate things? And I don't deal with people like that. I'm like, okay, just keep my distance and keep it moving. But that's something that I had to learn. Definitely had to learn. Definitely also protect yourself. That's something that I had in the hardest way to learn. Whatever movies told you, it's not like that. The reality is a lot tougher and harder. Nevertheless, it's worth it.
Yeah, you just need a few people who are also forward thinking, even if it's just one or two, so you can help each other. And sometimes it's not even a person you formally know. It might just be someone you're following online. They're sharing the good things and the bad things that are happening to them. and just learning in public. Sometimes it's hard. We say that representation is important. Sometimes there is nobody, and you just need to find someone who is close enough.
But how do you find a person, or how do you deal with it? Like, find a person that can actually help you in such a phase, or like when there's a challenge to get over it or to learn.
One, I'm very blessed that my dad is very supportive. I am like a fourth generation entrepreneur. His parents, my grandmother's father, all have had their own businesses. There's been a lot of trial and error, but it's also like you're going to have your own business. It's just a thing that you do. So I'm blessed in that way. But another thing is I've started to get therapy because when you're a business owner, resilience is very important. Crazy stuff is going to happen, not if it happens, when it happens. A lot of us have been taught, especially as women, when crazy stuff happens, you give up or you just kind of like shrivel up in a ball and you're like, okay, that was too hard. I'm done. But you have to learn ways to push through it. Not necessarily like, man up, not like that, but just like, okay, I feel this feeling. I'm going to allow myself to feel it. What can I do with it to move forward? I have an app that I use also called Alomia, which I'll put a link for you guys down below because I loved it so much that I became like a growth partner with them. That really helps me on days when I have to work late. Like today, we're filming this at 8 or 9 p.m. And sometimes that's when those thoughts that you haven't been thinking about all day come in. You're like, why am I even doing this? Or this isn't going to work because your brain is tired. The decision fatigue, maybe stuff didn't go the way you wanted it to go today. And then it just, I don't know if that's for you also, but when I get tired, it just comes. Those are my three things. I have very supportive dad, also had to get some therapy to learn some coping mechanisms and standby therapy with this Alomia app. Those three things helped me.
It's really inspiring that you're like in the fourth generation. The fact that it's, oh, if you want to have a business, of course, you can just have a business. That's really beautiful. That is really beautiful because it's so rare to hear it.
Yeah, and my dad told me a story a few months ago that if anyone is thinking out there, oh, I want to start a business, but I'm not a genius, I'm not smart. My great-grandfather grew up during the last pandemic, so the Spanish flu. And because of the Spanish flu, he wasn't able to go to school. So he started a business even though he could not read. He never learned how to read, but he had a business that provided housing for migrant workers who worked on farms. His wife knew how to read and she was good with the math. He was able to handle all the other things. So also, if you're going to be in entrepreneurship and you decide that you want to have a partner, who you marry really matters. Because if that person's always in here like, this is a stupid idea, we don't have nothing, you're going to give up. But if they're like, you can do it, I got your back. Okay, I know we're not going to be able to go on a vacation for a little bit, but I'm sure this is going to work out. Totally different scenario. So if you choose to have a partner, also blessed in that my partner is over here. I have to put a picture here so you guys can see it. He's Eritrean also. But if you choose to have a partner, choose wisely because that decision will affect the trajectory of your life, even if you have a regular quote unquote job.
Yeah. Yeah. I've learned that also. That's why I'm not having a partner right now, because I really want to do it intentional. But thank you for sharing these things. It's really interesting to see, because oftentimes also I feel like as a woman in business, there's not a lot room for the feminine side to be, to be vulnerable and to show these benefits of being a woman. It's very inspiring and very honest to see, because a lot of us don't know. They simply just don't know. They don't know whom to ask. I mean, if you're like me, I'm the first generation. The ancestors, they don't know. They just like, oh, you know what? Why don't you just get married?
Yeah, our marriage isn't perfect by any means, but it's definitely a mutual respect that happens. I salute first generation entrepreneurs, first gen immigrants, because there's a lot that you have to figure out on your own. Even just me being an immigrant in Germany for 5 years, being married, that has been hard. We have the internet now, so that makes it a little bit easier. But it's still hard to find what you're looking for or in the right context, because it might be written, and we're not bashing white people. But if you find a book that has business and financial advice written by a rich white person, that might not be what you as a Black woman who is bootstrapping need right now.
100% true. But also that I had to learn, because also growing up here, it kind of gave the illusion that Oh, it's the same for me too. I have like the same privileges like my former friends, but it's not like they inherit like familiar. Good for them that they have it, but also like understanding I really have to start somewhere else, and there is no shame in it. It's just a fact.
This is going to be a hard episode for me to edit because it's been such a great conversation. Jordan, please tell us where we can follow you on social. I know you have your LinkedIn, but tell us where else. I want everybody to know where they can follow up with you.
So on LinkedIn, definitely unter Jordanis Abraham Kifle. I actually chose both my last names, which is very unusual because it's my mom's and my dad's last name. Instagram, HQ44. That's it. Right now it's very, but more is hopefully coming back soon.
Okay. But yeah, that sounds good. And for everyone who stayed with us until the end, I know we talked a lot about quote unquote, again, disadvantages, but part of being able to move forward, especially as a person of color, no matter where you're living, whether you're Gen Zero, first gen, second gen, is understanding the obstacles in front of you. So I hope this gave you some insights on those. Until next time, this is GabyV for Clever Hybrids, and we'll see you in the next one.